everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to talk about the emotional guidance system, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. But if you find this content helpful, go ahead and like it and hit the subscribe button. And that way you can get these videos as I release them on new topics. Hopefully weekly is what we're shooting for, but definitely frequently. Okay, so the emotional guidance system. What is it to start with? I'm going to put this down below. You can download it. And it's just to see how emotional states are in relation to each other. A couple of minutes, let's spend on emotion, the word. So emotion is energy in motion, right? By their nature, you're meant to move. They're meant to move within you. And this comes from this idea that everything is energy. So the same energy that is in this camera, the phone, is also in me, is also in you. And you can go down a rabbit hole. I'll include some links to get you started down the rabbit hole below. But the thing to remember is you're going for how these feel in your body. Knowing that as humans, we're meant to experience all of these. That's just part of the human experience. The deal is you want to spend more time, or as much time as you can, in those emotional states that are on the lighter side. Because if you've spent a lot of time on the heavier side, the denser emotions, first of all, it's no fun. And usually it's an indication that you are not aligned with who you really are. You're not aligned with your purpose. And ultimately, you're not aligned with the highest expression of what it is to be a human. Having said that, a lot of times depression, and depression I take as an example, anxiety, depression, fear, they can run in families, and I know this because they run in mine, and I've spent much time in that state, specifically the depression state or the anxiety state. They say they're two sides of the same coin, and that is because they are very close to each other frequency-wise on this emotional scale. To give you an example, so fear, grief, and depression, powerlessness and victimhood are all kind of down here. And I'm going to add apathy to this. And apathy is when you're just like, I don't care if I live or die. It's a negative form of acceptance. Acceptance is a more positive, higher frequency emotion than the apathy. You don't want to hang there. If you find yourself right now have been in a state of depression for a long time or anxiety and it's unmanageable, definitely reach out to your mental health team, your providers, your doctor. Really what I'm showing here is for educational purposes to give you an idea of these different emotional states. But as someone who has been at that depression level, and it can be inherited, it can be generational trauma, it can be something that's going on in your body. There's a lot at play there. So definitely reach out to your team and get that addressed. Because what we're talking about today won't really address that. And I want you to get the help that you need. So when we talk about frequency, high frequency, low frequency, these are terms that are used when you talk about energy. Albert Einstein, and I'll just tell you a little bit about this. Albert Einstein famously said everything is energy. And again, what that means is the atoms that this phone has, we all share those same particles and just express in different ways. What that means to you is how you experience different emotional states based on what you're doing at the time or what you're thinking at the time, right? There's the idea that, and it's more than idea, I think there's a huge truth piece to it. It's not the whole truth piece in my experience, but it is a truth piece. And that is your thoughts can create your reality. For example, if you are having, let's say, a bad day, right? You woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or for whatever reason, you're not feeling good. And you continue to think to yourself, this is a terrible day. This day is not going to get better. I'm just going to write this day off. Chances are, if you continue to think that way, that will be your reality for that day until you change your thought or until you take an action that can help you change your thought. To kind of wrap up, 3 things to remember about emotions and the emotional guidance scale. One is that emotions are energy in motion. They're meant to move, and very often they move without you even knowing it, right? Or intending for it to happen. For example, for me, I'm not a morning person. I'll wake up and I'm like, oh, but I know that once I get going, that I tend to feel better. And I think that that has something to do with positive expectation. And positive expectation is right here. I think it's number 5. It's in the lighter area of higher vibe emotions. And sometimes just making movements, like I get my breakfast, I get my coffee, I do my walk, just getting that movement going, which is emotion, right? Emotion, not emotion, can really help that. So emotions, energy and motions, they're meant to move. If you're stuck in something, there are things that you can do to hack that. You can start by changing your thought on a situation. So maybe it's just acceptance. I'm just going to accept that I'm not in the best place right now. And just acceptance, and try that on. For me, acceptance is always accompanied by surrender. I can let go for a moment and know that I am being taken care of. Universal love is what is taking care of me. So that kind of sets a positive expectation. And by having that positive expectation, then it allows for more higher vibration emotions to come in. You can also take an action. So this is where people, you hear like, a better mood is only 10 minutes away if I work out, or if I paint, or if I do things. This is taking that action. So you can change it with thought, you can change it with action. And really playing with this is a cornerstone of self-mastery, of emotional regulation. What I will say is that if you're in a spot where things aren't moving, where it's a clinical situation, you should reach out to your mental health team, your therapist, your doctors, and get some help. So, but a lot of therapy, and I know this from experience, a lot of therapists will help you identify different emotional states, and then you can understand where you're at on the scale and know that none of these are implicitly bad or good. The higher ones tend to feel better in the body. They are more aligned with our large self, the larger self, the one that's connected and aligned with our purpose, aligned with that universal love. The lower ones are denser, so they can feel heavier. It's like, oh, this is heavy. But they can be giving you valuable information that you may need about a situation that you may need to move out of and extricate yourself from. And sometimes the appropriate response is sadness. If you lose a pet, or if there is a loss, you need to be feeling this sadness and deeply feeling it, not distracting. So often we distract from the heavier ones, right? That's when you go inward, when you find the actual sensation of that emotion and just be with it, let it be there. A great example of this, I have a friend, and boy, she knows the scale just intuitively, and she does not distract herself from her seemingly lower vibration emotions. She lost her friend, and she just took the day to be sad, to feel the sensations, to feel the flow of tears coming through her, not distracting herself from it, just stayed in bed, curled up. And that was an appropriate response to that, and it did move. The problem is if its sadness is not moving, and certainly sometimes it takes longer than a day, if it's not moving, that's when you want to get help. Sometimes those lower vibrations are the appropriate response. Now, meditation is particularly effective in moving you from lower vibrations up to higher vibrations because it puts you in a state of acceptance, right? Receptivity. A lot of meditations are about, again, accepting where you're at. So you close your eyes, you go inward, you accept what's going on in your mind. You're not trying to distract, you're not trying to push it away, you're allowing. And just allowing something gives it the space to move, right? So that's why meditation is a particularly effective way to just get neutral, especially if you're coming from a lower vibe emotion. Even if it just gets you feeling 5% better, that's a bump up on the scale. And when you're at that level, you just see things differently. So speaking of meditation, we are going to do a companion meditation to this episode that's going to be in the next video. So if you're interested in that, I invite you to join me for that meditation. One more thing is that physical movement can change that, can move you up the emotional guidance scale as well. And this can be any type of movement. I like to do silly movements sometimes, just like crazy. We do a lot of that in Body Informed Resiliency. We'll do a shake it out where you just get silly. That gets you out of a pattern of movement that can really help shake things up and again bump you up to a lighter feeling emotion. So anyway, I hope that helped you. If you found it helpful and you liked it, please hit that like button and that subscribe button, and stay tuned or come back if you want to join me for the meditation that will help you get into that acceptance, receptivity part on the emotional guidance scale. So thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it.